So the topic for tonight's shir, as we approach the conclusion of the weeks of Shovavim or Shovavim Tat, is Hilchos Yichud. So what I'd like to do, we have about a half an hour. What I'd like to do is to first give an overview of the Iker Din and the Iker Halachis. I'd like to go through rather quickly the main halachas of Yichud, and then discuss different Shailos or situations which will help bring out and apply the rules halacha l'maisa and help us understand better the perspective. To begin with, according to many Rishonim, the Isser of Yichud, although it's not mamish mefurish in the Torah, but there's a remez in the Torah, and according to many Rishonim, it's an Isser de'oraisa, which means a situation of one-on-one, when it's just one man with one woman who he's not allowed to be misyachid with. That's an Isser de'oraisa. So whom is one not allowed to be misyachid with? Min ha-Torah. So any woman who is an erva, a Jewish woman who's an erva. Erva means either an eishes ish, if she's married to someone else, or even if she's not, even if she's single, but she's a relative of yours whom you're not allowed to marry, such as your wife's sister or your aunt, or it could be situations of a sister, a brother's wife, with the brother and his wife are no longer married, but the brother's wife is still an erva, etc. So any situation like that, either an erva of that sort through kurva or through eishes ish, is an issa deraisa. If the woman is single, a Jewish woman who is single, and calls man that if she's not related, then the Isser is not the Oraisa unless she's a Nida. If she's a Nida, then it is an Isser de Oraisa. Nowadays, a single woman or a single girl, once she's of age, the assumption is that she is a Nida. So there would be any girl who's at that age of maturity, the Isser will be a de Oraisa. If it's a single girl who is not a Nida, meaning a younger girl, and it's not a nida, then it's asur midirabanan. Yichud is asur midirabanan. Yichud is also asur midirabanan with a Jewish man and a non-Jewish woman. That's an isur derabanan of Yichud. Anytime Yichud is going to be asur, as we'll see, Be'ez Hashem, anytime it'll be asur with multiple people, more than one and one, either more than one man or more than one woman, so even where it will be asur, it will also be an isur derabanan. For most practical cases, it doesn't really make a difference whether it's asur min Torah midirabanan, because it's still asur. But as in every area of halacha, it's kedai to know, and sometimes there could be nafkaminas. When we're dealing with, so let's talk about now the cases of multiple people. If there are two men with one woman, so according to the Mechaber, passing like the sheet of the Rambam, it's completely asur. Because the Gemara says really that it's mutter. It's mutter for two men to be misyached with one woman. However, the Gemara says the men have to be ksherim, not prusim. So the Mechaber passing like the sheet of the Rambam that ksherim don't exist anymore. Ksherim was a very high madrega of moral decency or ethics, which even in the time of the Gemara was hard to find, and certainly is not nogeya now. But the Ramah brings a shita that's more mekel, and as long as the person is defined as a kosher, not a parutz, then it is mutter for two men to be with one woman. So what is a kosher? It means, the shita of the Ramah, which is what the Ashkenazim follow, it means a man whose moral standards are up to the Torah's expectations and requirements. That's in a general sense. A person who's not loose in Yonei Erva. Obviously that could need more elaboration and detail, but that's not the place for this right now. So as I said, it's two men with one woman is mutter. What happens if only one of the men is a kosher and the other man is a paretz, or the other man is an Eina Yehudi? So that's a machlokas poskim, but there are poskim chashuvim to be samich on that as long as one of the men is a kosher, he'd be allowed to be misyached with it, as long as it provided there's another man with him, albeit a paretz, would be allowed to be misyached with one woman. Obviously, if it's more than two men, it's going to be mutter. The sheet of the Rambam, though, then it doesn't make a difference whether it's 2 men or 10 men or any number. Any number of men with one woman is still going to be an Isser Yichud. Until you have a situation of Rabim, multiple men and multiple women, it's going to be us, the sheet of the Mechaber. When it's the other way around, when it's 2 women and 1 man, so that's also, it's Mefurish Mishnah, Maseches Kedushin, that two women with one man is asur. the Shailos is whatever, it's more than 2 women. Let's say it's 3 women. Is it the Isser only 2 women, but more is mutter, or is it or more? So again, the Mechaber is machmer here that even with more than 2 women, it is usser. However, the Ramah here also brings a yesh omrim that is mekel with more. If it's more than 2 women, if it's 3 women with 1 man, even according to that shita, that's only mutter during the day. The day being defined as hours when people are people of that age, whatever age they are, typically don't go to sleep. So it means that the poel they're up, and it's an hour that they normally would be up. We're not chashish to go to sleep, because if it's an hour, then people of that age typically go to sleep. So one of the women might fall asleep, and then you're back up a situation of yichud with the man and the other two women. So it would be mutter. So therefore, according to the Mekilim, it's mutter 1 man and 3 women during the day. If it's at night, it would require at least 4 women, because even though more than 1 person can fall asleep, but once you have so many people, where the person would be chayshah, the person would be concerned, he'd be worried that someone's going to wake up, and it would be mutter. Lahalacha is a machlokes poskim. Do we rely on this? The other Ramah, I said 2 men and 1 woman. We do rely on that for Ashkenazim. That's halach for Ashkenazim. That's halach l'maisa. But 2 women, or rather 3 women with 1 man, or 4 women at night with 1 man, that's not so pashut. Ramosha Zatzal paskins not that we should not be samech on that shita. Some of the kitzvahs farm bring that Rabbi Yashiv paskin that you could. So it's something that would be samech on b'shas hatzarech. I mean, the Ramah brings it as a yesharmis. We'd be samech on b'shas hatzarech, but normally one should endeavor not to be in a situation such as that. In any case, going back for 1 moment to the case of 2 men with 1 woman. So first of all, that's also only during the day. Once it's night hours, when people typically go to sleep, it would require at least 3 men. There would have to be 3 men with 1 woman. And also, the Ramah does stipulate that the actually, I'm sorry. In the case going back now, I'm sorry if I'm trying not to be confused. In the case of 2 women with 1 man, the Ramah stipulates it's only even lefi the yesh omrim that is a matir, a man with 3 women, a man with 3 women, which I said yesh. Some are mekel, but the Ramah stipulates it's only if the man is not isko im hanoshim. Isko im hanoshim means a man who by profession or other reasons is very involved with women. He's a woman's doctor, or he's a hairstylist, or something like that, some type of line of profession where he's in constant involvement with women, where we say, number 1, he's more rugged with women, and he's less busha, less inhibitions to get involved in things that he shouldn't. And also the women would typically be more prone to be machapa on him. If he would do something wrong, the women would be less likely to blow the whistle on him, because he's whatever it is, he's the guy they go to fix their hair, or whatever it may be. So isko amanashim is for sure asur l'kuli ama, even with multiple women. Okay, now as I mentioned before, these isurim, the cases where the numbers are multiple women and asurs, these are isurim midirabanan. One more situation of isur would be also that a case of libo gaspa. Libo gaspahen, but libo gaspahen, which means that the man is he's not isko hanashim, but he's very comfortable, very friendly with these women, would also be a situation of isser. Okay, now there's a big discussion, a big nikud in Hilchos Yichud is shomrim, meaning if you have people there that constitute a shomer, that would be mata yichud. So what's a shomer for yichud? So first of all, I mentioned at the very beginning, one of the main isurim is a man with someone else's wife, an eshes ish. However, if the shita that we passed in al pi shulchan aruch is that if the woman is bayla be'ir means that her husband is located within the premise, within the area. The area typically for this respect is defined what people perceive, what people call the same city. It's not so much dependent on zip codes or whatever it is, but it's what people view. Sometimes you have a city where a place where across the street is technically another city, but it's all considered one. Well, the people go back and forth freely, and it's mamish considered one city, and most people don't even know that this is the dividing line. That could be considered irachas, whereas technically you would have an ir gedola which people don't view Bechlal as one city, even though it may be called that, where would not be considered irachas. But if it's Baila Be'ir, if it's a case where it's clearly Baila Be'ir, so that's a heter, which means that even if we're talking about a man being with someone else, being misyachid with someone else's wife, just one-on-one, but it's Baila Be'ir. Now, Baila Be'ir applies even if she doesn't really anticipate, she doesn't expect her husband to come back, and even if the door is locked, so that if her husband doesn't have the key or whatever it is, as long as he knows where she are. The way many poskim say, it only works in their own home, or if he knows that his wife's going to be in such and such a place with the man, he knows where she is, so then the heter of Baila Be'ir applies. If the man is tarred with something, meaning let's say he's working and he's an employee, he works by others, he can't just pick himself up and go whenever he wants. He could, but there are consequences. He has to clock in and clock out, and it's not something he commonly does. So Moshe Tzal and Shuvah writes, then Baila Be'ir doesn't apply. Although it doesn't have to be that she expects him, but it has to be that it's within a certain realm of possibility. Kuli amalo pligi, that if he's incapacitated, if the man's hospitalized or in prison, chalila, even if it's ba'osair, that for sure he's certainly not free to come and go as he wants, and then for sure the heter Baila Be'ir doesn't apply. Additionally, let's say the wife is mevarer just now that her husband is at a distance where he can't possibly come back within just a couple of minutes. For example, let's say he called her from his office on an office phone and shows up on the caller ID that he's in the office, or she called him there, whatever it may be. She knows not just that. I'm talking about even if he works in an office where he's the boss, it's his place. He constantly comes and goes whenever he wants. So Rav Moshe's chumrah wouldn't apply, but she knows he's not nearby. He's Be'ir. He is Be'ir, but it's going to take him at least 5 minutes, whatever. It's impossible for him to get here within a very short amount of time, just a couple of minutes. Then it's also usher, because now it's usher for a few minutes. Once a few minutes pass, so that depending on the distance, of course. But once it's already enough time has passed since she spoke with him that theoretically he could now be with right nearby, then it would work. And the idea is Baila Be'ir doesn't require a knowledge that he's close enough, or even a real expectation that he's close enough, but it does require, number one, the realistic possibility. I mean, it doesn't work when she's certain that he's not nearby. Then Baila Be'ir does not work.
Wouldn't that depend on the individual? Meaning, having someone that's 15 minutes away would come home every day for lunch, so then for them that's Baila Be'ir. But for other people, they wouldn't travel that time to come home.
If he has a lunch break and he's free to go and he's Be'ir, then it's called Baila Be'ir, unless she just called him and she knows.
Even if he's 20 minutes away.
Yes, unless she knows Vadai. That's what I'm saying. If she knows Vadai is 20 minutes away, or even 5 or 6 minutes away, it doesn't work. But if she doesn't know Vadai, even though he usually stays in the office, but he's free to go.
He could come at any point, and that's fine.
Yes. Right, that's correct. Now, another case where Baila Be'ir, though, doesn't work is, again, by Libo Gaspa. If a man is together with a woman that he's very friendly with, maybe it's a close relative, a cousin of his or something. This is the example that Post can give, that they grew up together, and they're friendly, and they're still friendly. So he's much more comfortable with her than he is with another woman. Or it's another lady who, for better or for worse, it's Libo Gaspa. Maybe it's a family friend, and of course this situation shouldn't exist, but let's say it does, where he's rather friendly with his friend's wife, so then it doesn't apply. Even if her Baal is Be'ir, for a man to be Misyachi with a woman at Libo Gaspa, where he again feels fewer inhibitions to become closer with, then the Heter Baal Be'ir does not apply.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what Gaspa means? How close does it have to be? So your wife is a friend, she comes over sometimes. How comfortable have to be? The fact that she says good morning to you is called Libo Gaspa, or the fact that you would sit and have a conversation with her on the couch?
If someone's chas v'shalom in the hospital, they ask him, what's your pain? 1 to 10, what's your pain level? And you have to make up a number. So you make up a number, 3, 7. I can't make up a number here. It means that he's, that he knows Yodea Ba'atzmo, that he perhaps the way he speaks, he wouldn't speak to any other woman this way. He wouldn't. He acts differently. He feels differently in her presence. That's okay. One additional thing by Baila Be'ir, we're talking about a situation of he's with a Jewish woman. If it's a non-Jewish woman and Baila Be'ir, that definitely. that definitely doesn't work, as we'll see in a second. But let's start the other way around. Let's say it's a Jewish woman with a non-Jewish man. The Jewish woman, her Baila Be'ir, her husband's Be'ir, but the person she's being Misyachah with is a non-Jew. That's a Machlokas Poskim. Pashtus, it doesn't work, very briefly, because by Einu Yehudi, the Chash is not just Pitui. It's not that he might be Mafata her, in which case Baila Be'ir would stop her, but it's a Chash of Onus. So therefore Baila Be'ir doesn't help. It's not going to stop Onus. But if it's some Poskim say, if it's a place where there's law and order, and if a man would Chalil be Ma'anis a woman, there would be severe repercussions, so then that's sufficient. Other poskim say that even that doesn't work because she might not want to reveal it so that she won't look bad, whatever it is.
Consider that type of place?
I'm sorry, again?
Is America that place?
It used to be. We'll leave it at that. Okay. Now the other way, where if it's as I said, if it's a Isha Nachris, a man is with an Isha Nachris, that for sure Baila Be'ir doesn't work, and not only doesn't Baila Be'ir work, but Baila Ima B'Bayis doesn't work. That means to say a Jewish woman can't be in the house with a non-Jewish couple, even though it's husband and wife, but it doesn't work. That's an Isser Yichud, because even her Baila's right there, Baila for the man to be there, her Baila's right there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me be clear. If Baila right there, it does work. I meant to say the other way. If it's the other way around, if it's a Jewish woman with a non-Jewish couple, where it's Ishto, so we'll get to that in a second. Okay. So I'm sorry for the confusion. So once again, Baila Be'ir by a case of a non-Jewish woman definitely doesn't work. To say that if the Baal's not on the premises, he's Be'ir. The man, the husband, is Einu Yehudi, that doesn't work. If he's on the premises, it does work. It does work. I mean, a Jewish man could be in the house with a non-Jewish couple as long as the Baal Einu Yehudi is there. Now, when it comes to Ishto Misham Raso, that's also a heter, but it's not the same tokef at all. Ishto Misham Raso means that a man is in a situation where his wife is right there. That's for sure mutter. It's mutter for a married couple to have another woman in the house, because there's no yichud between that woman and the husband, because ishta mishamraso. And even if his wife is sleeping, it's ishta mishamraso. And even if his wife went to sleep already, and then the lady first comes to the house, let's say a guest is coming from out of town, she's coming in late, so his wife fell asleep, she's sleeping already, and he's up, and the lady comes to the house, his wife theoretically, technically doesn't even know she arrived. We still say ishto mishamraso, because there's the mirsis, there's the pachad, the fact that his wife is there by Jewish people. But ishto mishamraso doesn't work like.
There's a boy and a girl. Everybody in the house is sleeping, and they're there in the house. That's a problem. There's no mishamraso, but there are other people in the house. It's only a spouse,
no.
Or the fact that there are other people in the house helps.
Other people who are not a married couple. If there's a married woman in the house whose husband's there, then that's a shomer. Otherwise,
no, but besides them, it happens to be a single boy and a single girl.
So I'm saying if it's in the house where there's a couple, then it does work, because since the woman is not part of the Isser, so the man's not part of the Isser. That would work. Okay, now the Ishta Mishamraso means the following, though, that let's say the wife's not mamish in the house, but you're expecting her back at any time. She went out, and you really have no idea when she's coming back, and she doesn't have to. She can walk right in. She has the key or whatever it is. She doesn't have to announce herself. So and that's called Ishta Mishamraso. If you know she's not coming back for a while, you're fairly certain, you do not expect her back, even if she's Be'ir, that doesn't work. Baila Be'ir, we said, works even if you don't expect him back, but Ishta Misham Rasa doesn't work that way. It has to be that she's either right there, or she's expected, and he doesn't know. Either Mamish expected, or he has no idea. She could walk in at any time, then that would work. Now here, as I started to say before, Ishto Misham Raso does not work by Eino Yehudi, which means even if you have a Jewish woman to be in a house with a non-Jewish, with a couple of Einam Yehudim, that is not mutter, because even though Ishto is right there, it's an Isser Yichud for the Jewish woman with the man who's an Einam Yehudi. Ishto doesn't help. And this...
How does any woman have a plumber or AC guy come?
So we'll try to say, hopefully we'll say a couple of things. But this, just mentioned very briefly, this could be a problem if you have a very frum girl who's a Balas Tshuva, and her mother is married or whatever to her, living with a non-Jewish man who's not her father, not her biological father. So even if they're married, there's mamish, they marry civilly, but the question is, how could How could or could she live in the house? Because it's a house with a non-Jewish man who's not her father, not her biological. If it's her biological father, even if his name is Yehudi, there's no problem. But if he's not her biological father and he's named Yehudi, even though his wife lives right there too, and he's a very fine civil person, she definitely would have to ask a serious shayla from her Rav whether if that living arrangement is even mutter. Okay, just another couple of points, and we'll try to get to some of the shaylas. Ktanim could serve as shomrim, which means a katan who the description is Yodea Tambia Ve'enu Moser Asma, meaning a katan who's around, let's say 7, 8, 9, katan or ktana, who know, assuming that they're of regular intelligence capacity for that age. So intelligence and worldliness of a child that age, that they know epis. To when things seem funny, but they don't yet have the taiva themselves. Eino moser asma l'bia. They don't have the Yetzirah albasha to be involved in an avera, so they serve as a shomer. So during the day, even one such person, if a child there, whether it's your own child or someone else's child, would be a shomer. Around, as I said, they end from 7, 8, 9, around that age range. Some stretch it down to 6, and some stretch the upper age a little bit, but between 7 and 9 is the best age. They would serve as a shomer. At night, you need two such people. If you want to be samech on a katan or a katan as a shomer, at night it has to be 2 because one of them could fall asleep and then they no longer serve as a shomer. We'll see right away some examples. Just 2 more points. One is that there's a heter pesach pasuach l'shus harabim, which means if you're in a place where there would be yichud, so if you leave the door open and it's open onto a public street, a public area, or an apartment building where many people have access to it, so then that would be mutter. So hold the discussion. The poskim, does that mean is it sufficient to be unlocked, or does it have to be mamish open? The bottom line halacha l'maisa, which is let's call it the normative halacha l'maisa, is that in a place where people would not just walk in, if they would not just try the door and say, oh, it's unlocked, and walk in, which is most people's homes in our society, then it's not enough to be closed and unlocked. It would have to be at least open, not necessarily wide open that they could see you, but open enough that it's visibly open, where it's more inviting, where it's much more likely that a person might walk in. Many more people would walk in when the door is open than if the door were closed, and certainly more of a mirsis again on the person when the door is mamish visibly open to somebody who walks by. And
the door is closed, but the door is open.
If they could see through, as long as they could see through, then yeah, I mean, certainly if they can see the people. If you're saying if they can't see the people, would they walk in with a screen door? That's you have to ask around. Poll people. Would the average person walk in past the screen door? I'm not sure, but I think they probably would. Another possibility is if they're mamish in view of the street, either through a screen door or by a window. There's a window where you could see, as long as they stay in front of the window, or one of them. It's a man and a woman at home. So if one of them stays at all times in front of the window, so people passers-by could see. So during normal hours, I mean regular daylight hours, when people pass by and could see, that would be okay. And what a number of posts can say nowadays, a camera, if it's a live stream where whether it's your wife or someone else could check it at any time and go into the office here and see people in the base medrash or anywhere in the building. If somebody could see at any time, or if some people have on electronic devices that they carry with them where they could see what's going on at their home or other places at any time, something that works. Stam a camera, a security camera, which is filming it, but nobody could see it live, many say is not good enough. But if it's a live stream where someone has access to it, it's similar to being in front of a window. Many posts say that's not good enough. It has to be you have to be seen, right? But there's no makar for that in halakha, and then they're not making on that. Okay.
Person who can see it is good for us or to you. Does that help?
Yes, because there's still a shomer. You're still a bosh to do something even in front of a person that's usher. Okay, so let's just go through a number of situations and try to bring out the halachas more. So a couple has a guest staying over. Let's say a male guest wants to stay over at your house. It's you and your wife, and maybe you and your wife and some small children who are too young to be shomrim. And They want to have a man wants to stay over, but you come in the you get up early in the morning. So during the night and everything, when you're home with your wife, it's fine. But you want to get up early in the morning and go to learn in the morning, Kollel Boker and daven, and he wants to know if he could sleep a little bit longer. He just came in from out of town. He wants to go to the 8:30 meeting. So is that okay? Could you leave the house and leave him behind in your house with your wife sleeping and you at home, or your wife up? Either way. So the shaila is, well, assuming he goes to a shul in the area, he's not going to Ventura or Miami Beach. He's right here, one of the local shuls. So he says Baila Be'ir. Well, so it would depend. Lefira Moshe. So once it's davening time, Pashas, that's no longer Baila Be'ir anymore, because he could leave. Of course he could leave and he can go to a different minyan. But that's completely not expected. From whatever time minyan starts till it ends, he's considered Keilu. He's locked in there. Before that,
do you know what minyan he goes to?
I'm sorry.
She knows what minyan he goes to.
I'm giving possibilities. You can apply. I'm giving the rules. You can apply the possibilities there. If I'm talking about a man who goes, he goes, has a set seder in the morning, and he's Elokei Avram Ba'ozro. He's Kovei Makom Tfilaso. So okay, now if there are children at home who are between the age of around 7 to 9, let's just say, then that works. Now, and here, even if they're sleeping, it works. But your own child, I mentioned before, at night or sleeping hours, you need 2 shomrim. If it's your own child, well, put it this way: if it's a boy for his mother, is considered a shomer, and even if he's sleeping, just like a husband, the boy, without going to all this first, now the boy is considered a shomer, so you only need 1. Or if it's the other way around, if you need a shomer for the man, so both a boy or a son or a daughter, if it's his own child, a son or a daughter, even one of them is considered a shomer, like it has the same mila of a spouse. Okay, so that could be a variable too. Here, if there are children home, then that might work. But if there aren't children home or children of that age, and the husband is for sure goes to a set minyan where he's going to be davening, so at least Lefira Moshe would not be okay. And certainly if, let's say, he goes, he's leaving early, he has a bar mitzvah in Aventura, that's not Baila Be'ir anymore. So then for sure the other man would not be able to stay in the house when he leaves. Okay, next case, a family has a boarder that stays with them. So let's say a female boarder, and the wife wants to go out of town for a night. She has a simcha out of town. So now who's at home? Well, let's just say, assume even the man has a daughter at home, who's a teenage daughter, and he has a boarder who goes from out of town, goes to high school here, a teenager. So first of all, and here's where seichel and tznius and common sense comes into play, and that is that besides the technical halachas of Yichud, a person always has to make sure that what they're doing is eis gehalten al pi gidrei tznius, and it's not a situation of possibly causing extra nisayon or people talking v'chulu. If a wife goes out of town and you have a female boarder, find her somewhere else to stay for the night. She definitely should not stay over in your house overnight, even if you have children at home and whatever it is. To have a girl, a teenager or post-teenager, certainly girl, overnight in the house with the husband when his wife is out of town is not an acceptable situation. Okay, but let's say, what about during the day? So fine, she finds a place to stay overnight, but during the day, after school, she wants to come home. Your wife's not back yet. She wants to come home, and do her homework and get her stuff and whatever it is. So so you have to. It'll depend on, first of all. So if you have a daughter who's also around that age, or even not that age, a daughter who's from the age of 7 or more, it'll work. From 7 and up, it'll work because it's your own child. So your own child, I said, is a shomer during the day, even one child. So if you have a daughter at home or a son at home from 7 and up, then it will work. Again, you have to make sure it's a situation tznius. Rahman Slan takalas could happen during the day also, but it's not. But okay, so you have to use seichel there too. But technically, it would not be an Easter yichud there. But if your daughter goes to a different school, she's at a friend's house during homework, and this girl's home, then your wife is out of town, then there's no heter. So could you leave the door open? That would be a heter, but it would be better not to rely on that alone. If you leave the door open and at least tell the neighbors that please come in, the door is open, feel free to come in at all times. That is definitely an advisable thing to do. If she has to be, the best thing if you're not, the two of you are not in the house at the same time, b'chlal, when your wife is away. But if she has to be, then that would be. Now it's not just if your wife is is out of town. This same situation could be during the day. It could be if your wife is working or your wife is shopping, and you know she's not. She just called you from the store and she's only halfway through the list of 63 items, so you know she's not going to be back. You're not, it's not Ishtam Shamrasa, so you'd have the same Shailos. Okay, let's say one of the most common situations: a couple wants to go out for the night and they have children at home. They need a babysitter. So Kozman, they don't have a boy who's 9 years old. I didn't mention the age for Yichud, the age at which a girl who's bas mitzvah or above can't be misyachi with a boy. The age of the boy is 9. Meaning to say, even if the girl's bas mitzvah, she's chayiv b'mitzvahs. If the boy's younger than 9, there's no isser yichud. The other way around, even if you have a man who's bar mitzvah and above, there the isser yichud starts at the age of 3. The girl's 3 and above is yichud. But okay, so going back, if you don't have any boys who are 9 years old, so you have a female babysitter and you don't have a problem. But once you have a son who's 9 years old, so a female babysitter is a problem. It's a yichud. So the question is, well, if your son is 9, but you have a 7-year-old girl and you have twin girls, 7 years old, that's great. So then you have the two shomrim there. They're at the age of 7, they're shomrim. There are 2 of them. So even though it's night hours, they're going to sleep. That would work. But so you just have to plug in the different factors you mentioned. If you don't have that situation and you have a 9-year-old boy and then he's the oldest and then the other kids are 6 and 5 and 3, whatever. So then that's a tough situation. The possible heta would be leaving the door open, which isn't exactly the most situation by babysitting. I mean, babysitting with the door open, especially at night. Elamai to tell the girl that I told this neighbor and this neighbor they can come over anytime. Maybe she might be okay with that. She might not. But you really have to figure out if that's okay. If it's going to work. It may be better if it's possible. I'm sorry.
Does the camera in the house help?
It would help if somebody has it with them, right. And it would have to be though that they're in front of someone. At least one of the subjects of the isser is in front of the camera all the time. It would have to. It doesn't help if they walk away from the camera. So it would have to be that they're in front of it all the time, at least one of them, and the person has the camera. Okay. Otherwise, babysitting, you really have to figure out an eitz, and sometimes you get someone else, another child, to sleep over, so that so you have a shomer, things like that. But it has to be. It's not that complicated to figure out whether it's mutter or usser. Sometimes it's complicated to figure out an eitz in the case of babysitting, but this you have to know. Okay. If your daughter, you have a just a couple of things more. You have a young daughter. 3, 4, 5, and your wife's away. Your wife's at work, and you have the day off. You're home, and your daughter wants to have a friend over. No, it doesn't work. This is yichud. 2 or 3-year-olds. You can't be with. It's only because your daughter, but because the other one, your 3-year-old daughter is not a shemeres. She's too young. So there's nisa yichud between you and her 3-year-old friend, a 4-year-old, for whatever age it is. There's a nisa yichud only once your daughter is older. Once your daughter is 7 or at least 6, so then she'd be a shomer. She can 2 6-year-olds would be fine, but under that age, she's not a shomer, and you wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, what's just one or two quick things. What's a situation that I find many people, not so much in this city, but in another city where many of the Jungelites' wives work in people's homes as therapists, as speech therapists or occupational therapists, or whatever. They make home visits, and they may have a non-Jewish client. The client is a small child; he's a 3-year-old kid, but. So if just the mother's home, okay, 100%. But often the father's home, and if she doesn't even know, she doesn't know she's going to that. She doesn't know if the father's going to be home. If the father's home, even if the mother's also home, like we said before, I'm talking about NMB Yehudim. So even if the mother's home, we don't say Ishtam Misham also, and this is a yichud. So what does she do? She has to, before she takes a case like that, or a case where the husband might be home, the kid's father might be home. She really has to figure it out. Sometimes leaving the door open is not usually lemaisa. They don't allow that. Sometimes she can maybe have her phone with her and have it on the camera and have it directed at her in a way that her husband could open it at any time and see, and that's a shtickle eitz. So some people said that works for them. Most people said it doesn't, and so I'm not giving. A lot of these don't have easy solutions, but these things that have to be thought of.
So this thing of texting like 10 friends that you're home alone with the cleaning lady and doors wide open is not.
No, if you tell many friends who are lemaisas, at least some of them are lemaisa there and could walk in. Yeah. No, but no, you guys see, tell them before. No, but it has to be that you're always at all points, at all times you're chesed that you're. If you tell multiple people, then so
that could work in general, like 3-year-old. I'm saying up until
Yeah.
whatever age.
Yes, that could be an eight. If you tell people who Lamaisa could walk in and might walk in. The last thing just to mention is in an office building or a school building after hours or in an off day when you come in. So normally during regular business hours, very often it's not a problem. But if it's getting late and you want to stay late, or your wife wants to stay late, so you really have to make a cheshbon. Some people have a situation where it's an office that it's a locked office and it's there are only a couple of workers there. So you really have to figure out, do you have a situation of Baila Be'ir? I mean, if it's your wife asking who has the Shailos, so are you Be'ir and are you at liberty? Are you in a profession or in a situation where you're at liberty to come at any time? Then that would be okay as Baila Be'ir. But very often it's not Be'ir, and in which case it wouldn't work. Also, if there are non-Jewish men working there, then we said also Baila Be'ir is a very shvacha heter then as well. So now sometimes in office, very well cameras might be the answer. They're more prone to have cameras, and might be something that you that might be the solution. It's much more of a practical solution in that case, but it's something that has to be taken into cheshbon in all cases.
Sometimes it's not